Max likes this very much.
Welcome to
Coffee with Toffees.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Let's do this.
And welcome back to Coffee with Toffees, guys, the news show designed to keep you caught up with everything that is Dota. As you know, we have a lot of panels and interviews on this show, but Friday is dedicated to getting us caught up with all of the things that are sort of going on in the Dota world around us that you need to know. And I'm also excited to announce a couple of things today. One of the big ones that I'm really stoked about is we've been able to secure a new sponsor, and Coffee with Toffees will now be brought to you by Razer, the gaming company that makes peripherals, all kinds of great stuff to really help your gaming experience. So we're bringing them on. We also have some commercials they've been sending to us, 30-second spots. The premise is this, guys. This is a Dota radio show, and just like on TV and radio, the way that they pay the bills and kind of keep things going and can afford to be here every day is running commercials. That's not really a thing in Dota. Ad block is incredibly popular, so you don't see things like commercials really driving revenue. And I honestly think that one of the steps we need to take to get esports to that level is to bring in outside companies, lifestyle companies, and commercials could potentially do that. So I want to start trailblazing. I want to bring the idea of commercials into these shows, featurettes, things like that, and hopefully we can expand from there. So if you do see a commercial, it's short, it's 30 seconds, and it will be bringing some extra stuff to the show, as well as sort of showing other sponsors market capability. So bear with us. It's part of how we fund this bad boy, and I can be here as many times a week as I am with you. So a big thank you to the folks at Razer for coming on board with this process. Now, that said, remember that you can support it directly if you want, patreon.com/Toffees. I get a lot of $2 donations, and every single one of them means a great deal to me because that is stuff that we get to spend to make the show better. If you go back to the YouTube channel, guys, and you go to the shows that we've done previously versus the show that we do now, it is night and freaking day, and all of that, every single change is because you guys have committed to the show, have been here listening, have downloaded the podcast, have been a huge part of our success, including things like making overlays, intro videos, intro songs. Everything that we have on the show is crowdsourced. Even if I've paid somebody, it's because we found them as a fan to make the product for the show. So guys, it means the world that you've been so helpful. I get volunteer emails on a regular basis, and I'll do it again. If you want to help out with the show, if you want to write for it, if you want to help me find news stories, if you want to design overlays, you're more than welcome to be a part of the team. You can email me at 5MidasGaming, that's the number 5, not the word, at gmail.com, and I will try to see if we can find a way to get you involved. I love having folks help out with the show. It adds a sense of community to everything. So thank you again for all of your support. That said, let's move into the news section. Now, the first piece of news, this isn't pro news, so if you're looking at the hot plate on the live or on the YouTube, ignore number 1 because this is not pro news, this is just good news. And it is that they have announced the date that tickets go on sale. Don't get me wrong, I toyed with the idea of not telling you guys about this until after Friday because I want a ticket and I don't want competition. But that would be insincere, untrustworthy, and I'm just not that big of a dick. So, just a reminder, on this Friday, March 27th, right around the corner, that's when tickets are going on sale for TI, guys. So get there, get them bought. If you are doing it on US time, it's going to be, I think East time is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Use your own converter because I haven't done it yet. I will before Friday, I assure you that. And you can buy batch tickets for Seattle. Now, what they're doing is they are selling the tickets for $99, and you get all 6 days for that. Now, when this came out, I will admit that I had a little bit of backlash. I tweeted out, I don't want to spend $99 for 6 days if I can only attend 2. For those of you who don't know, I will be at TI. It's done. I'm going. However, if I am not flown out by an organization or someone's not paying me to be there, I can only go for the weekend because I can't afford to get a babysitter to watch my son for the 5 days. We live in a place where we don't know folks really take care of our kids. So I'll be going for the weekend. If, however, we are paid or our organization flies us out and gives me enough that I can fly my mother-in-law into Boston to take care of my kid, then I will be there the entire 6 days. That said, I was like, man, if I can only go for a weekend, why am I paying all this money? And then I got a tweet back from a bunch of people, including Cyborg Matt, Greg, Fitch, the owner of F3, and they were like, guys, you would seriously pay a significantly higher amount to go to any event. I mean, like, and it's true. If I go to a Colts game when I'm in Indiana, I pay somewhere in the ballpark of $130 for one day. This means 6 great days at what is the World Series of Esports for $99. I can't think of a better price. That said, if you're going on the weekdays and I don't get invited out, I've got some extra days to sell you. So let's get in touch. Kidding. All right, not kidding. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. All right, so that is it. Get your tickets. They are aware they're on Friday. You need to get involved. It's going to be a blast, and I will be at TI. I'll be walking around. I'll have some cards to sign. I'm going to try to get my hands on some swag to give out. So hopefully it's going to be a really great experience for everyone. Now, let's move on to the second one. Keep in mind, guys, you can get a mug on our website. This is not the mug you get, though. This is the banana mug. This is the Goodwill mug that I bought last week, and I just couldn't find my Coffee with Toffees mug before the show. I was cleaning, and I don't know. I was being lazy today, I guess. I just woke up. Anyway, by the way, my wife's out of town with the baby. That's why everything is so late at the moment. You never get to sleep in. You got to take advantage of that. So get your mugs on the website. That said, next piece of news. This is pro news, and it is interesting that Arise was dropped from basically unknown after a Cloud9 drama spiel. Now, according to the guys at Burden United, this had nothing to do with the situation. The situation is this. Basically Unknown scrimmed with Cloud9 apparently, or another team, and Arise posted the scrim on a website or YouTube. Now, it was a 15-second clip of the scrim in which Arise made a really great Magnus move, one that people want to watch. The question is, and C9 raised this, doesn't that give away a lot of information? It shows some drafts that we were messing with. Scrims are made to be private, and even if it's a 15-second video, you could be giving away information that might help us win in a tournament, and that's unacceptable. That said, the guys over at Basically Unknown released Arise. According to them, it had been decided before the scrim was posted. That said, it does seem pretty suspect that it was announced right after that debacle took place. Now, I'm on the fence here. It's 15 seconds, but at the end of the day, if you agree that a scrim is private, you don't show any of it. Would that help Cloud9 win a major? I don't know, but they do have a very valid argument there. And now Arise is out. I think I saw him playing with Crazy Faces the other day. We'll see where he settles. Nothing is official as of yet. So that's number one. Number two in pro news is Suneko leaves Power Rangers. So Power Rangers, who is, in my opinion, a team that I very, very much love. Now, Power Rangers is aggressive. They're frenetic. They tend to play with that CIS aggressive style that I love to watch. And it kills me that Power Rangers have been slowly dissipating little by little by little by little. And they're down to 3 players left. They have J4, Cheshire Cat, and Ditya. And honestly, I don't know what their future holds. There are some CIS players floating around. There's some availability for pickups at the moment, but with TI so close, losing these players means that this may be one of the first years that we don't even see PR get an invite to qualifiers unless they pull themselves up by their bootstraps, fill those 2 roles, and get back in the game ASAP. And honestly, this is a team that I thought would qualify for the main event last year that looks like they may disappear before the thing even starts. So I'm a little bit sad about that, a lot of bit sad about that, but it is what it is. What can you really do? So that is it for pro news, guys, and now we are going to roll over before we transition to tournament news. Stick around because I've got news on the Red Bull event coming up, what happened in the longest game in tournament history, as well as a little chat about the Major League AllStars disaster and a statement from some of the folks working over there. That's all coming back right after this message brought to you by the folks at Razer. Welcome back. This is the tournament news. We're going to start out with announcements, guys, that Red Bull announces $75,000 event in San Francisco. This is a big one. Now, it's not as big as some other tournaments that have gone on. However, there's some bigger teams that are going to get to go to this one. The invites have been announced, so keep in mind, $75,000, San Francisco, Red Bull Battle Arenas. So this is good because it's a lifestyle brand sponsoring a big tournament, and should be a good one. And the teams that are invited to the big show from North America are EHUG, Summoner's Rift, Not Today, and Monib Beret. However, I just heard last night on a tweet from Merlini that I believe Monib may no longer be together. So that does sound like that might change. Maybe a team like Leviathan will be up for that bid instead of Monib Beret. CIS, Team Empire, Asus Polar, Virtus Pro, and Hellraisers. SEA is Rave, MVP Phoenix, Can't Say Whips, and eHome Malaysia. And for the EU, we'll see Cloud9, Ninjas in Pajamas, The Alliance, and now Team Secret. So there are some teams that are probably slated to win that $75,000 that will be doing very, very well. And it will be a fun event to go to. Those are some big names, honestly, for a tournament that doesn't have that large of a prize pool. All right, so that is going to roll over to our next piece of which is the longest game in history was played yesterday, of pro history, I should say. It was the longest one previously was 2 hours and 20 minutes, I believe it was. This game was a totally different ballgame. This was Cloud9 versus Scary Face, and it was crazy. The total runtime was 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 24 seconds. I watched up to 90 minutes of this thing before I had to run to the airport, and I was, impressed with the casters. It was Purge and ODPixel who did a great job of keeping this thing going. They also related to doing things like music, talking to the players. I mean, like, think about it. Once you hit that 90-minute mark, and when I was watching at 90, they were 6 slotted across the board pretty much, and then they played for another hour, 2 hours. That's crazy to me that it was just back and forth. So I have dubbed this the Sisyphusian Slugfest because it was literally back and forth, pushing a block uphill and seeing it fall right back down. And kudos to the casters for sticking it out. When I can tell you now as a caster, when I plan a cast or take a job, I plan about an hour and a half into my day to do that job, not 3.5. So I'm sure that OD and Purge had things that they had to be doing that they could not do, and they stepped up and crushed it. I will say this, I heard a rumor that ODPixel picked up 2,000 Twitter followers off of that game, well deserved after that. But I think that's not a bad payment for an extra 2 hours of work, though he really did come up with some really great stuff, did some really great work, and was very, very impressive. And it looks like he may replace Coddle Guy for king of the pause/long game coverage. I know that he pulled some tricks out of the Coddle Guy playbook with his soundboard and some other stuff, but it was a really, really great experience. So if you do get bored or you want to fall asleep watching something, Sisyphusian Slugfest C9 versus Scary Face, you can find it all over the internet right now. Just go check out the VOD and then go do something and then come back every hour or so and check in on the score. All right, the last thing that is newsworthy is that the Major League All-Stars Day 1 disaster is definitely worth talking about. So Major League All-Stars just went on. It was crazy, to say the least. In the first day, there was a lot of stuff that happened. Everything from claims that there were fires in the computers, that there were power outages, that there were bugs in the player rooms. Now, first I want to touch on the cockroach allegations. Somebody said there's cockroaches in the player's room. Well, let's be honest. This is a tropical climate, and I grew up in a tropical climate. Roaches ain't nothing anybody can do about that. They are just part of the landscape. Get used to it. Everything else probably could have worked on. Now, I know that one of the issues they had is somebody told me that they booked the arena and they found out that the internet was like 3G instead of legitimate internet, so they worked on fixing that up, getting everything in place. They didn't have a lot of money to pay staff, so a lot of it is volunteer. There's some stories on Reddit about people who bought VIP tickets and got nothing that they were promised. This doesn't look good for the SEA scene at its inception, or at the start of this event. I will say this. They worked hard. In fact, Baby Oling, who helps out, she is a contributor for the show. She's sort of our SEA expert. I talked to her at the night after day 1, and she said that the organizers are insanely busy working on tech issues right now. In fact, they pulled almost all of their staff off of other avenues to make sure that the tech issues were fixed so that day 2 would run smoothly, and worked through the night to accomplish that. Baby Oling said that she was in charge by herself of managing the teams and the schedules and making sure that everything runs smoothly. And in day 2, there were some delays, but it was 100,000 times better. So I will say this, a kudos to the guys there. A lot of folks are mad because they say, they didn't ask, they weren't experienced, they didn't do their thing. They didn't do great the first day. However, it takes a real business person and a real strong personality to say, we effed up, we're going to work through the night, and we're going to make this thing better. You're not just going to deal with the problems because we've already got your money. We're going to make it work. And they did that. And I give them props because it was a huge turnaround. They came back. They did a great job. Yes, there were delays, but it was 100 times better, 1,000 times better, day 2 versus day 1. And that is due to the fact that the organizers worked as much as they could through the night to make it functional. And so I'm torn. On one hand, I want to say it's your fault for not doing it in the first place. On the other hand, I respect the work they put into getting this thing back. So, so far, it's been a strong tournament after that fact, and I hope that it will continue to be. And I really do hope that this doesn't hurt the SEA scene growth in any way, because they're a scene that needs extra space. They're growing, they're burgeoning, they've got talent when done correctly, but it's a tough place to survive as a Dota player. Income is difficult to come by. The regional design makes it hard to sort of travel for events, and I really want to see them do well off of this tournament and bring some good attention. So hopefully it keeps going that way. It's very, very exciting. So that said, guys, that is all of the information on the tournament news, sort of what's happening with tournaments. The last segment is the one that we love, or the reason you may be here, and that is the tournament roundup. So when we come back from our next commercial, you are going to get information on all the major tournaments going on, who's in what place, and I'm excited about our new writer, Proxy PL, who's given me some great write-ups on each tournament to help us really understand what's going on with them. And we're going to run one more commercial from Razer. We'll probably be doing one commercial on Fridays from now on. We're just testing everything because this is the first time we've brought sponsor commercials in and want to see how they feel on the segment. So if you feel like this was too many commercials, tweet at me and let me know. If you feel like it's not a big deal, then tweet that at me as well. So here we go. We're going to run this one, and we'll be right back with the tournament roundup.
Razer Comms is a free all-in-one communication tool that allows you to stay in touch with friends both in and out of the game. With features such as friendless, groups, mobile SMS forwarding, and call notifications, Razer Comms is a communication solution for the dedicated gamer. Razer Comms' minimal in-game overlay has a panel that grabs all your messages and lets you see who is speaking in a voice call without interrupting your game.
Now I'll always know who's breathing into the mic.
It's always me.
By pairing Razer Comms Mobile with your PC, your friends can call you, no matter where you are.
And we're back. Welcome back, guys. It's time now for the tournament roundup. We're going to roll through the tournaments that are going on, talk a little bit about who's in what place, so on and so forth. Now, this is a tough thing to cover. There's a lot of tournaments, different regions, a lot of informations. But that said, guys, it can be difficult to keep up with. And we've actually recently brought Proxy PL, he's a writer for Join Dota, onto the show, and he is going to be helping out with write-ups on these Friday roundups. So if you love the information, let me know, because I'm glad to have him on board as he talks about the tournaments. He's sort of the specialist over there and can really help us understand what's going on. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is just give you an update on what's happening over in the Major AllStars LAN Final, and right now it is going into the winner bracket final. It was Empire versus IG, who've made it all the way through the winner brackets. The lower bracket final is NIP versus Na'Vi. So there's 4 teams that remain: are Empire, Invictus, Ninjas in Pajamas, and Na'Vi, surprisingly enough, as they go through. I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly. They didn't have to beat crazy strong teams. They did beat Redeem, and they were also able to take out Invasion as well as... No, I'm sorry, they lost to Empire. So they've taken out a couple of teams coming out of the SEA region. Their first major test is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas. And the question is, can they do it? I hope that they do, because I'd love to see Na'Vi go into a consolation final and maybe get some third place out of this. That said, Empire IG is going to be the main game, and not surprising to see that IG will very likely come out of this one probably 2-0. If you followed the show earlier this week, we think IG is one of the strongest teams in the world right now. Top 4 probably going up against Empire, so it shouldn't be too hard of a win for them. Starladder. Now, last week I made a mistake in saying that the Starladder seemed greedy this year, that their new format was going to have a lot more games and it was going to have a lot more time spent playing. Apparently, I was incorrect about that, and the reason that I found that out is I was contacted by a writer, Proxy himself, and he said, listen, let me explain why this format is stronger in a lot of ways. And he did. He said that at the end of the day, the old format would have had 120 games, best of 1, in a massive round robin. Now they have 42 best of 3, so at most we'll see 126 games, but there's a far less chance that we're going to see it go that big, probably more in the ballpark of 90 to 100. That said, the way it works now is it's not a grind out that requires teams to play other teams where the games become irrelevant. On a round robin with so many teams in 120 games, there's points where it just doesn't matter what happens. But in the new format, which is BO3s and miniature advancement tournaments, from what I understand, it means that each game will have a relevant impact. It also means that it's a best of 3, so we can still go. There's less chance of pocket strats dominating the day. Some of the lower, less interesting teams will be knocked out early, so you're no longer going to have to watch your big dog secret say, why am I even bothering with this game up against one of the lower bracket teams who are struggling to make it into the top half. So this, I think, is a good change and should be pretty interesting. Now, as far as we are sitting right now in Starladder, it is worth noting that Na'Vi has already been knocked out in Stage 1. So if we roll over to Europe and CIS, assuming my computer updates here, we'll see that Na'Vi is not going to be advancing. So they came and they went, and that is unfortunate. They're not going to make it through that round. In America, Stage 1 is China, and America and China already has finished Stage 1 of this tournament, and the first advances out of Group A are going to be Void Boys, Will Reckwell Whistling, Team Tinker, and Complexions. You can see they're already loaded into that round 2 winners bracket, which there will obviously be a losers round as well to determine the advancements out of that. China is going to be advancing Vici Gaming, Newbie, Invictus, and LGD. And now, listen, we talked about it last week on the show, guys. If you want to watch some Dota, some developing Dota that's going to be pretty boss, Starladder, the Chinese stage, as it's setting up to play out right now, is the best teams in China. Like, this is, when we asked our panelists to list the top 3 teams, it was either VG Invictus Newbie or VG Invictus LGD for the most part. And that's exactly who's playing in this tournament in the next round. So check it out. This Stage 2 of Starladder Best of 3 is going to actually be really, really informative as to, I think, how the post-shuffle sort of looks. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be exciting games. Don't get me wrong, watch the America qualifiers as well. These are great teams on the up, but that said, this Chinese teams are just going to be brutal. Strong teams playing each other. Cannot get over it. Cannot talk enough about how much I absolutely love seeing good Dota playing. I think this is going to be some really great Dota. Next news up is Dota Pit League Season 3. I do want to point out that the prize pool has climbed up to $243,000 from the $80,000 base, and that's from the compendium and the chest cells. And that does mean that they are probably one of the top tournaments in the world right now. Yes, they do not have a LAN final, but they are a lot more relevant in a lot of ways. And that's a question for another day, is does a tournament like Dota Pit that has no LAN presence, but a bigger prize pool, therefore larger team draws, will that matter more in TI consideration than winning a LAN? Tough to tell, but it is something to consider. Dota Pit right now, keep in mind that the top 2 in each group will place in the winners bracket. Third place we put into a losers bracket round 2, and 4th and 5th goes to a losers bracket round 1. 6th place completely eliminated from the tournament. Group A is wide open. The interesting thing is Cloud9, who probably should have gotten second place, is 4-4 right now. Still a long way to go. Evil Geniuses has only played 2 games, but they're 1-1. Most likely EG will advance here, and it looks like there's a good chance that maybe Cloud9 may not take it, and someone like Ninjas in Pajamas may get that second place out. Team Secret dominating Group B. They've played all of their games. They've got 8 of the 10 points that are available. HR at 4-2 looks like they have the potential to take that second spot, maybe even finish up in a tie, as the rest of their games look very winnable for them. So HR in a good position going into the next swing of Dota Pit. Now, Dota 2 Championship League is underway. It is on Twitch this time instead of Daily Motion, which is a huge advantage for them. And they've rolled through qualifiers right now. As far as China goes, it's done. Vici Gaming and CDEC got through the first round. Now, this is not Vici Gaming, the big dogs. This is sort of like their talent team, their up-and-coming team, has made it into the big show, which has got to be exciting for them because they beat teams like Tong Fu. And now they are actually in play round, but LGD is just dominating at 5-1. VG, regular VG at 3-1, and then CDEC and eHome trying to catch up, but already 2 losses down on VG, so probably not going to finish in that second place position. So that is Dota Pit China, and like I said, everything's looking really good in terms of how this tournament's coming together, and I just have to wonder how Valve will handle this when it comes down to TI invites in a tournament of this caliber, this production value, but without the LAN experience. Does that mean as much to them? Last one is ESL 1 is going on. We do have VG now added to the invite list. So Secret, EG, and VG, that's Evil Geniuses, Secret, and Vici Gaming, are all directly invited to the LAN finals. You know what? No surprise there. They're the top 3 teams in the world. They're the top 3 teams who should get invited. And they will be playing losers. Let's see. VP disbanded, by the way, so they're going to be knocked out. We're going to see the losers bracket playing this weekend. Winners. So this is the bracket. It is big and it is vicious, but what we see is that in the winners right now, games to see coming up are C9 versus Alliance, Hellraisers versus Na'Vi, Aces Polar versus Ninjas in Pajamas, Empire versus Tinker, and then we'll see the bottom where we did see VP knocked out, so Flipside got an automatic advance in the losers round. And then we're going to see PR versus Elysium, Team Alternative versus Balkan, and Vega versus Burden United. Now, this is a very long tournament. It seems like they've got a long way to go, and that was just European qualifiers. As far as there's going to be a China qualifier and an SEA qualifier. Neither is in place right now as far as teams are concerned, but both of them will get 1 bid to the LAN final. So 1 for China, 1 for SEA. And it does look like SEA's got Rex, First Departure, 5EVA, and Underminer participating, but no word on those brackets just yet. Once we get more, we will assuredly let you know. So a big shout out to Proxy PL for helping out with the write-ups on the tournament roundup. It's been a huge benefit. If you want to get involved with writing for the show or anything like that, reach out to us at 5midasgaming@gmail.com, the number 5. Guys, it's been great spending the morning with you. Hopefully you've enjoyed your tournament roundup brought to you by Razer. And if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Toffees. Follow me on Twitter at Toffees_Dota2, or simply say hello sometime, whether it's on Twitter, email, in-game. It doesn't matter to me. It's just great to know that you guys watch and support. And finally, I will beg this. If you're listening in the podcast format, please review the show, rate the show. It takes 3 sentences. It can be anything you want. Just let us get up there so people see that the show is being rated, is being reviewed, is being listened to. It is incredibly helpful, guys. But thanks for spending your afternoon with us. My name is Toffees. As always, remember, play more Dota, and Toffees out.